Well, it's a great pleasure to join you. Although I'm online, I wish I was with you. Uh, I love this particular theme about moving from Make in India to own the world. And I will explain to you as to why I love it. I think the world has moved from the economics of manufacturing to the economics of knowledge to the economics of ownership. India must now make the final transition from creating products to owning the ideas behind those products. Nearly 3 decades ago, while delivering the C.D. Deshmukh Memorial Lecture on the economics of knowledge, I had said that the battles of the 21st century would not be fought only with tanks and missiles. They would be fought in knowledge markets where intellectual property would become the new ammunition. And today, that prediction has become reality. Nations no longer become rich simply because they manufacture. They become rich because they own. They own patents, they own standards, they own platforms, they own brands, they own ecosystems. And therefore, the challenge before India is no longer merely make in India, but it is own the world. Let's look at some realities around the world. Take Apple. Apple manufactures very little itself. Foxconn manufactures. Thousands of suppliers manufacture. Yet Apple captures almost three-fourths of the profits of the global smartphone company. Why? Because Apple owns the design, the operating system, the semiconductor architecture, the ecosystem, the patents, and the brand. Others manufacture, Apple owns. That is the economics of ownership. Take a second example. Look at ARM from Britain, for example. ARM hardly manufactures a single semiconductor. Yet ARM design processor architectures power billions of smartphones worldwide. Every phone sold pays royalties. Britain exports ideas. The world pays license fees. That is the wealth creation without manufacturing. Take a third example, Qualcomm. Qualcomm manufactures almost nothing. Yet, whenever a 2G or a 4G or a 5G phone is sold anywhere in the world, Qualcomm owns because it owns standard essential patents. Even competitors pay. This is perhaps the greatest demonstration that IP can earn while you sleep. Then the fourth example is Moderna. The COVID vaccine saved millions, but the subsequent battles were not about factories. They were about molecular patterns. One tiny modification in mRNA chemistry became worth tens of billions of dollars. Knowledge became wealth. Take another example. I mean, look at China, for example. China has understood this very well. Factories create GDP, ownership creates national power. UI is the best illustration. I mean, I remember almost 20 years ago, I was the DG of CSR, and CSR in the ranks that WIPO had given, World Intellectual Property Organization, CSR was number one, LG was number three, and UI was number four. And today, if you see, UI has become one of the world's largest patent holders, not just PCT. Every year, it earns enormous licensing revenues from technologies used globally. China deliberately invested in R&D, patenting, standards, commercialization. They did not stop at manufacturing. They moved to ownership. Ownership, ownership, ownership. I think India has missed opportunities. I always am fond of telling a story. I remember Sir J.C. Bose created wireless. Basically, Sister Nivedita went to him and said, "You should patent it." He refused to patent it. He said, "Knowledge is for all." And of course, Marconi discovered it much later and he patented it. And we all studied in schools that Marconi is the inventor. No, it was J.C. Bose. That was 1898. And in 1998, I fought the Basmati battle. Okay. Basmati, which is ours, which was patented by a Texas company. So from Bose to Basmati, it has been a journey of 100 years. We can't continue that journey anymore. We discovered, others owned, knowledge traveled, the wealth did not. That must not happen ever again. So those were defensive victories. The future requires offensive victories. And India has reasons for great optimism. And I will tell you why. Now, if you look at the personal experiences, I've been chairman of CII National Intellectual Property Awards, and I've seen encouraging progress over the last 10 years. But I also seen that excellence is not concentrated is still concentrated in a relatively small number of companies. India's IP movement must become a national movement. There is a good news. Recent patent share rising about 69%. The Global Innovation Index, we have gone up in the rank. Startups are moving. Why? They are actually booming. But this is not, I mean, if you look at geo platforms, for example, for the first time, I find we have acquired a place in WIPO's top 20 global patent filers. And they're not in traditional manufacturing industry. This is in cutting edge exponential technologies like AI, 6G, cloud, digital infrastructure. It proves something that profoundly important. India can own frontier technologies, and Geo can do it. Many more Indian entrepreneurs can do it also. So I would end up by talking about five missions that will help us own the world. What is mission one? First is invent more. Raise national R&D dramatically. We are at a very low end of 0.65% of GDP. That must go up. Industry must become the largest investor, not government alone. Today, government is two-thirds, industry is one-third. The proportions must be reversed as they are in the advanced world. Every advanced innovation nation has industry-led R&D. India must. That's number one. Invent more. The mission two is protect more. Every research laboratory, every university, every startup, every MSME must think patent first, publish later. In fact, I remember in 1989, I had got this slogan for National Chemical Laboratory: patent, publish, and prosper. And the same laboratory, which was actually reverse engineering, copying, started licensing patents to giants like General from United States, and that too in an area where they were leaders like polycarbonate and so on and so forth. So the Indian minds are capable of that, doing that. So if ideas that are not protected, then they become gifts to competitors. Remember that. Mission number three, commercialize more, because patent is knowledge creating instrument, so as to say. Patents are not trophies, they are business assets. And we need licensing, technology transfer, deep tech venture capital, technology exchanges, professional IP evaluators. The objective is not filing patents, the objective is generating wealth. That is mission number three. Mission number four, I would say, own global platforms and standards. This is perhaps the most important. Do not merely make products. Own AI models, semiconductor, IP, 6G standards, biotech platforms, clean energy technologies. The companies that define standards, they define markets. The companies that define markets own the future. Remember that. So therefore, ownership is important. And finally, the mission five, it democratize innovation. Innovation must not remain the privilege of a few corporations. I always say, everyone is someone. Minds on the margin are not marginal minds. Every student, every startup, every MSME, every farmer, every grassroots innovator must become a part of India's IP movement. The India IP advantage must become a people's movement. I would say the 20th century rewarded those who own natural resources. The 21st century reward those who own intellectual resources. Yesterday's empires were built on coal and oil. Tomorrow's empires will be built on algorithms, on molecules, on designs, and on patterns. Nearly 30 years ago, I spoke about the economics of knowledge. Today, I wish to add one more chapter, the economics of ownership. Knowledge creates possibilities, intellectual property creates power, commercialization creates prosperity. Nations that make products may participate in global markets. Nations that own ideas, they will shape the global markets. Therefore, India's journey must not end with Make in India. It must progress to invent in India, patent in India, commercialize from India, standardize from India, and lead the world from India. Let us resolve that when India celebrates the centenary of independence in 1947, the word will not merely say India makes for the word, it will say the word runs on ideas owned by India. Thank you. Thank you very much.